Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press MMA. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Don't forget, you can also find us on social media. That is the Full Court Press MMA across the board, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Additionally, you can always just go at Drew Duncan 83 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and of course, YouTube as well. Guys, already we've had Martin Smash Brown on the program. We had fight promoter Time Dune Keen on the program. And as I made promise, the next man up was the MMAtopics.net trainer of the year. His name is Austen Ford, and he's right here on the Full Court Press MMA. Austen, it is a huge treat to have you on the program, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Austen, if we may, I just want to kind of get right into it. First of all, I'm sure that you saw the fight. J.W. Kaiser, you and I have worked together with him in his fight promotion out there in Leavenworth Universal Combat League. There are a lot of people that believe that Jack Swagger, Jack Hager, whatever you want to call him, was spoon-fed a fighter in J.W. Kaiser. But I'd be willing to bet that you disagree with that.
You'd lose that bet. That's exactly what that was their intention. That was their strategic ploy. That's exactly what they did.
Was it unjustified? I mean, you take a guy like J.W. Kaiser, for him, obviously, opportunity of a lifetime. Jack Hager, a guy that has a name already because of his presence in the WWE, and he just gets to move over in the same way CM Punk did. Is it unfair in some regards?
I think it's just as a concept, or as the concept of MMA, that he would need a guaranteed win in his first fight. It cheapens what's so beautiful about MMA. It's kind of reminds you of boxing. And is it unfair? It's not unfair to JW. It's not unfair, say, to his coaches. But I think it's more unfair to him and unfair to MMA in general. There was no, and I think it turned out to be a great fight, and that they got lucky that JW, laid it all on the line and went out there. But, that the way they tried to pick someone that they knew Jack could be, that could have blown up in their face if they would have got someone that wasn't as formidable as JW.
One of the things that you talked about was the beauty of MMA. I'll never forget interviewing Royce Gracie, and he told me that we don't fight to make money. We don't fight to win. We fight to prove that our style is the best. There was a time, and you know this, Austen, where MMA was basically outlawed. It was only legal when it first really got started in a big concept in 13 states in this country. Guys had to really fight to make it what it is now, much more mainstream acceptable. Guys spend their entire lives doing smoker fights, amateur fights, and then a guy like a Swagger, a guy like a Punk gets to just step in and go, hey, I think I want to do MMA, without really having to go through the same rigorous process that everybody else did. What do you have to say about that? Is that right to put those guys in those situations?
CM Punk and Jack Swagger is comparing apples to oranges. They happen to work at the same place for a while. And for sure, the job that they shared, the first job that they shared was to make money, to entertain. And CM Punk, his transition to MMA was certainly less organic and genuine. It was kind of a money grab, a fan grab to bring him in. And he must be spoon-fed the softest opponents they can find because he's not good, just being honest. And not that he's not good, and most people can train and become good, but CM Punk to me is someone who is going to get better very slowly and probably has a low ceiling in MMA. I mean, that's just what we're witnessing. Now, Jack Swagger is a Division I, Big 12, Oklahoma All-American. So he has absolutely put in more of a grind to the fight game, to a martial art, than most of the fighters that are currently competing. I mean, he's been wrestling since he was 5, all the way through to gaining a Division I scholarship, to competing in the Big 12, Division I level, and becoming an All-American. And now the heavyweight division in wrestling, I think, is probably a little bit easier to win because it's a smaller pool. However, Jack Swagger, he absolutely deserves to come right over to MMA, but I think he also deserved to have, a fellow Division I wrestler, or, someone that was, 5-0 as a professional, or someone that was formerly a professional athlete. He deserves to be tested, and that would have made for better TV. Let's bring Bobby Lashley in, who's also on the Bellator roster. Let's have him fight Jack Swagger right away. That would have been a great fight, great, huge draw. And if Swagger would have lost, that would have been okay. But they look at it as if Swagger loses, his shot is over. His MMA career is over. He's leaving behind lots of money to come over and train for 8 weeks and get $50,000. Like, that's not a lateral move. This is not a lateral move. He's making the move to, he can't say he's doing it for money because there's no money. $50K for one fight, that's nothing compared to $50K for one WWE show. So he's coming over for money. He said that, which he's mistaken. But if he does not come over for the love of competition, which he has said that is also why he's come over, then he's gonna get humbled real quick. And that's the beauty of also MMA, is that it's gonna humble you, and you can't be protected for so long, or we're all gonna be able to tell that you're being spoon-fed people that they think you can beat. And then that also creates another narrative where we're all hoping that the J.W. Kaiser knocks out the Jack Swaggers of the world.
Austen, is there a point where we maybe put too much emphasis on one fight? One of the things that you said that I really cabbaged onto, and that is they acted as if, though, if he lost one fight, then it's over. You look at Ronda Rousey, people forget the totality of her career. You look at a Conor McGregor, people forget the totality of his career. Is it unfair? Is it unjustifiable that we put so much emphasis on just one fight?
Well, when we put emphasis on this first fight, yes, it would have, it could have broken the path that they had laid out for Jack Swagger. And he's only had one fight, so that's all we have to judge. But now Ronda, her career has been tainted, and this is just the way it is. It's not fair, but it is just the way it is. And that is, she finally faced true adversity and lost. And then you see her reaction to the loss. She came back because someone told her to. She didn't come back to prove to herself that she knew she would lose one day, and she was prepared for that, and she just wants to test herself against the best in the world, win or lose. She's in this for character growth. So we have to go, well, all those arm bars, all those fast victories, she's the baddest woman on the planet. And then all of a sudden, in one instant, she's no longer the baddest woman on the planet. In fact, was beaten by someone who wasn't the baddest woman on the planet in her first loss. She eventually did lose to the baddest woman on the planet. No shame in that. But you see how that adversity, it broke her. So now we just get a deeper insight into Ronda Rousey and what she was all about. Exceptional talent, exceptional win streak, definitely put in the time with the judo, the lifetime of being an elite athlete, which is a burden in itself. But it's okay to learn a lot from one fight. But to judge someone off of one fight, especially when one fight can change a person's life, one fight, one loss can certainly change a person's perspective and cause them to go into the most rigorous training that they've ever did because that loss motivated them. But to judge off one loss, you know, it's a conundrum, you know.
We're talking to Austen Ford. He is MMAtopics.net Trainer of the Year, revered by many to potentially be the absolute best in the Midwest. Austen, one of the things that I want to talk about with you is, as a trainer, you have a lot of different personalities that you have to contend with. I think you know where I'm going with this. McGregor, Habib, the suspension, the brawl. Overall, what is Austen's perspective on that situation?
Well, you know, even as successful as we begin to feel over the years from success, you know, success breeds success. Success breeds pride. Success breeds this false sense of, I'm doing the right thing, I can do no wrong, I've got it all figured out. And then you see both of them behave in a way that I guarantee they regret. And it just showed that they are human. They are victims to their emotions. And Khabib, while rightfully so, was attacked. But that's what the fight game is. That's what the pre-fight banter is. Now, why create that pre-fight animosity between each other? Because it will sell more tickets. And when you see this banter between two amateurs or two low-level fighters, or, you know, there's no point in doing that because it doesn't sell tickets. The only reason to become emotional in this fight game is to sell tickets, which I don't like. You know, you don't have to do that if you're good. You know, have the promotion sell the tickets for you. You know, you don't need to make a guy want to fight you more. You don't need to jack yourself up to want to fight more. So, you know, Conor was doing that. There is some gamesmanship in that. He clearly saw that he could get under Khabib's skin. And once you show weakness to a savage, he's going to poke at that and pick at that, and he's going to try to get you completely out of your element. Now, we saw Khabib stay the course, stay focused, not respond until afterwards. And I think that shows his strength. And then also the level of pain that he was carrying around from what Conor was saying to him about his family, about his country, and it exploded like any human would have. Now, let's call it Conor's fault that Khabib behaved that way. We could look at it that way, but it's Khabib's problem now. And then you see how the fine and the suspension, which is less, considerably less than for Conor than it was for Khabib. Now, his behavior was considerably less inappropriate, but you know, people are going to want to pile in Conor's prior transgressions and would say, well, he jumped in the cage at Bellator. You know, he's bumped a ref before. He did attack the bus. Why can't? And that's true, but life's not fair. You know, and the commission is going to make sure that they appear fair. You know, they're very bound by rules and regulations. But what Conor did, to me, shows less of character than what Khabib did. But the life lesson is, you can be persecuted, prosecuted, oppressed, and then however that retaliation comes out, if it's against the rules, if it's against the law and the commission, they don't care. It's not fair, but it is what it is. You're in trouble. And then, of course, Conor got a little slap on the wrist, so now the commission and this whole game has perpetuated his behavior. So it's a double-edged sword, but, I'm going with humanity. We're just looking at humans and poor choices on both men, but we're also looking at two mental giants that made terrible mistakes. So does that connect us to them? Does that make us feel that they're more human and bring them down to our level so we can relate? Or does it show us that even though we've made mistakes, we can be mental giants too? So it just depends on how you look at it.
We're talking to Austen Ford. You can find him on social media as Fight Ball Coach. Austen, I know that you take a huge, huge stance against bullying. You've done a lot of work with kids. You have your own gym. What is the reason for that? I mean, was it, were there personal experiences when you were young? Is it just something that you look at it and from an outsider looking in and go, this is wrong? I mean, what makes you step in and work with youth and anti-bullying the way that you do?
Well, first, I sold the gym, so I am no longer a gym owner. But what draws me to that is I'm a fixer at my core. I'm obsessively a fixer, and I thrive off helping people in general. I live a life of service, or I try to live a life of service, and when I pair that with what I've been through, I can put myself in these kids' shoes. I come from a place where if someone puts their hands on you, I had permission to engage in physical combat. I can look back at my childhood and see where I bullied. Nothing classically bullied because that's just not in my character, but, I've made someone feel bad. And my life is about making someone feel good, making someone feel maybe as powerful as they are, giving them affirmation on that, or making someone feel better than they are. And, I guess it might be arrogance that I feel like I can help everybody, so, through my wantingness to protect bullies, where at first it was, well, I'll go to the school, I'll talk to the kid, I'll talk to the kid's parents, I'll get them in the same room, to where now it's, okay, let's teach the kid how to handle it. Let's teach the child or the young person not to respond physically, but respond behaviorally, respond with situational awareness, avoidance, character. So when you pull in a teacher, you pull in a parent, an administrator, maybe an upperclassman, and they want to help you, and actually help you, because of your character, they realize that you're under some duress and they want to come in and save you. Because you have poor character and you tell everybody you're getting bullied, no one wants to help you. So when it comes down to it, fighting is not a self-defense, against bullying. If once the bullying gets to physical, okay, now the self-defense aspect comes into play. But, not letting someone corner you in the bathroom, jiu-jitsu is not going to help you with that. Not letting someone tear you down with talking about your weight or your glasses or your hair or your clothes or your family. That has nothing to do with boxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA. It starts way before that, which in the end I realized that this bullying problem, it's not really a problem per se because it's been around forever. Some people have been made and been given the drive to become CEOs or heavyweight champion or, football players, basketball players, just, whatever they do it well because they're driven by when they were bullied. And so, we're kind of soft at the way we look at bullying now, but when you see a broken kid that doesn't have the tools to, one, defend themselves, or two, protect themselves from getting in that situation, you see that pain. If you had that pain, or someone who's had that pain, and you can put yourself in those shoes, it's going to make you insane if you really want to help that person. So you'll want to help them mentally. You want to help them physically. You want to give them all the tools. You want to fix the family, the parents. You want to go to the school. So, again, we're driven by emotion with the bully thing. That's why it's just out of control, So why am I such an advocate for helping people? Honestly, it's what God, His plan for me. I'm a beacon of light, and and I just pray for Him to use me. I really don't have to think about it too much, but I'm very thankful for what I've done, and I'm also very thankful for the direction that I'm moving, which, I think will transcend how many people I was able to assist. My next move will be the one that, I'll be able to actually feel like I'm changing the world instead of just changing my gym.
And what is that next move, Austen, if I may?
No, that's fine. I'm going to end up being a therapist, family therapy, marriage counseling, youth counseling, empowerment, individual counseling, just, where I can sit and draw people to me or be able to be found by broken people or hurting people or successful people that are still making, mistakes that could ruin their whole, what they've worked so hard for, and we can begin with the core, whereas before I was like, I need to become the best fight coach to help these people. Now I know that I need to be the best person that I can be to truly do my calling, and that is to help emotionally broken people on purpose right away. We know what we're here for, and that's to get right down to changing your life. I don't want to do it slow anymore. I want to do it right now. We know what we're getting into when you come see me, and we're not gonna put gloves on. We're not gonna do combinations. Well, first, I need to know you. I need to get to know you. And with the fighting, I always thought that I would always use the fighter's agenda or the young lady or young man's agenda, but I didn't know their agenda. I was just vomiting my agenda on them, but saying that I was keeping their agenda at forefront, and I just realized now that in a therapy setting, not my own practice, but working with a practice, and, that's my calling, and that'll be the next thing I'm doing.
Austen, this is the part of the program where I give my guests an opportunity to say anything that they would like to. There's no right or wrong answer here, sir. The floor is 100% yours.
Well, and I'm just going to let just a little bit of advice to myself. I'm going to give some advice to myself. And that is, you don't wait till tragedy or trauma to make big changes in your life, to improve your character, to improve your way of life. Don't wait around till something big happens. Because a lot of us are good when the S hits the fan. but that's only good at responding. You know, you need to know that tragedy is coming. Trauma is coming. And if you are not prepared, it's going to break you and change you. And if you want to be broken and changed like that, I don't recommend it. But if you want to avoid being broken and changed like that, you know, sometimes you got to think like, if I had a genie, if I had a genie and he came back and told me and said, "Hey, Austen, I just want to let you know what you got coming down the line if you don't change right now." And then I go, "Oh my gosh, I would change because I would know the future." It would be as if I went through that trauma. But you have to have faith to work on yourself consistent evolution to avoid letting tragedy and trauma be the thing that makes you get your stuff together. You know, get it together every day, you know, focus on now and the near future. And if you do that, then when that tragedy and that trauma comes, it won't blow your life up. You know, no one's going to be prepared for being blindsided, but you will shorten the duration of your stress. You will shorten the duration of your stress. It will only enhance your life. Whereas if you're not prepared, it's either going to make you, or as we can see with alcoholism and drug abuse, it can break you. So be unbreakable and don't let tragedy be your guide, you know.
Everybody, he is Austen Ford, MMAtopics.net, Trainer of the Year. Austen, thank you so much for being right here on the Full Court Press MMA.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press MMA. We got a lot more to get to. As a matter of fact, Austen is going to jump over with us to the Full Court Press football and discuss a little bit about the big game coming up and all things football, guys. We got a lot more to get to. Don't forget also on the program, we are going to have Stephen Wynn from Wichita, Kansas. Don't you dare touch that dial.